For us, our tendency with these symptoms of mental trauma is to kind of put it away and not go to the doctor, because there is, you feel there is that stigma around it. I'm also very careful about the fact that I'm in no way condoning or encouraging plastic surgery or vanity-driven corrections. It's my choice.
Sure.
I choose to feel that way, or this is the face I like to look at. My family is very busy, so it was more of a solo journey for me. When I got offered luck, I literally did it for the money, which I'm not embarrassed to say, because I needed my independence. Financial independence as a woman is something that I've always been banging on about.
Hello everyone and welcome to Pinkvilla. There's a lot that I can say about our guest today, but I think what describes her fairly is kind heart, fierce mind and brave spirit. Yes, I'm talking about Shruti Haasan. Shruti, welcome to Pinkvilla's special Women's Day edition, Woman Up.
Thank you so much for such a lovely introduction.
Shruti, before we start getting into, speaking about the importance of mental health and the stereotypes that's around it, I want to start this interview by asking you have come out and spoken about dealing with anxiety. When was that moment, Shruti, when you realized that this is something that I'm dealing with and it's not a feeling of upset or being sad, it's really anxiety? What was that moment?
I think it took me a long time to come to terms with it. I think I've had anxiety for many years, even as a child. I think it was triggered by certain traumas, which is the case with most people. And trauma feels like a very heavy word. But anything can trigger trauma. Trauma is basically something that's inflicted. Could be large, could be small, could be a small trigger. So that's why it's a bit complicated with anything with mental health, because what may be traumatic for you may not be traumatic for me. But
Sure.
It is the way your or each individual's mind processes trauma. And there are various, reactions to it. In my case, the reaction was anxiety. So as a child, I think I felt a little bit more competitive energy would affect me very negatively, like during exams, during sports. Getting on stage was a phobia for the longest time.
Really?
Yeah, so it was really weird, because when I started singing and performing on stage, and since I was 19, I was in music school, I would get these symptoms of really bad anxiety, but I just thought I was not, steely enough or courageous enough or strong enough for this big bad world. And it took me many, many years, I think, actually into my 30s to realize that I had an anxiety disorder. And it was only through therapy and talk therapy and analyzing my own patterns, because it's very difficult, which is why I always say therapy is wonderful, because we have a lot going on in our heads and we're trying to figure out a lot. I don't think it's within our bandwidth to have a very concise aerial perspective of what we're doing, which is why it's difficult. Like when you ask me, how do you know the difference between upset, sad or anxiety? You don't, till someone points it out, and then you can start placing it into the compartments.
But like you said, in the beginning it must be difficult to assess it, right?
Yes.
I want to understand, what was that moment like?
So first of all, I want to say I don't know about others, but for people who have suffered with depression or anxiety, it's not easy to go and talk to other people. In fact, you're mostly trying to keep up the garb or the image of being all right.
Fear of being judged.
No, I mean, for me, it wasn't fear of being judged. For me, the fear was, I'm supposed to have my shit together. I'm supposed to be okay. For different people, there are different triggers, there are different things, In my case, it wasn't like my parents wouldn't judge me. But, that could translate into various things. So it's difficult to talk at first for anybody. When somebody has a fever, I always say this, when somebody has a fever or a sore throat or a stomach ache, one day, I'll take a Crocin, I'll deal with it. Second day, this is getting serious. Third day, you go to a doctor. But the symptomatic tendencies of mental trauma is, for us, our tendency with these symptoms of mental trauma is to kind of put it away and not go to the doctor, because there is, you feel there is that stigma around it. So the reason I've spoken about it so much is because I don't want somebody else to wait till their 30s to, unravel the big woolen ball in our brains.
You are a public figure, and let's face it, our society is a bit judgmental. which also reflects in the film industry. Now, when you came out and spoke about mental health and mental illness, and when you spoke about your anxiety, were you scared? And sometimes people judge you for saying that, because that person is dealing with mental health, that person must be weak, or that person doesn't know how to deal with things. In situations like this, were you skeptical of speaking about it? Because so many fears, fear of being judged from the society, fear of probably losing out on work, there must be so much.
Yeah, I think I lived with that fear for many years.
You did?
While I was working. And I think by the time I decided to take a break, and we'd spoken about it before, I was at my, my last tether. Like the back was breaking, so to speak, metaphorically. When you speak your truth, you don't have another option. So
right.
I do believe that the courage is not in speaking the truth. You've already passed the bridge of courage when you've decided to absorb your own truth and then speak it.
Yeah.
By then you've come to a place where judgment, fear, these things start to fade away a little bit because your truth resonates at a very high frequency.
Sure.
And that's what I think. I think I've operated from fear and insecurity before, but through therapy, through sobriety, my understanding of myself led me to be truthful and therefore kind of, I don't like to use the word fearless, but kind of more open and less worried about things.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, having said that, did you even face the brunt of speaking about it?
Yes, of course. I think the biggest brunt I faced was for saying that I choose to live a sober life. And
yes, I remember that.
Yeah, and I was like, well, no wonder people don't want to talk about this.
Sure.
It's just that I've thickened my skin to a level that is a healthy balance now. But of course it hurt because it was a personal struggle.
Sure.
And much to everyone's denial, alcohol is a free-flowing thing in society. It's approved. People can do it. You have a birthday party, cheers to that. You have an office party, cheers to that. You have a promotion, cheers to that. You got a demotion, let's drink because you're sad. It just never really ends. And I think it's a big part of Indian culture as well. Not just Indian, like the world over.
Sure.
It just wasn't something that was okay for me anymore.
Sure.
And it's clinically proven, medically proven that those with anxiety should not consume caffeine or alcohol. And when I said that, the twisty turnies of it was just like...
Yeah.
So,
it came out as you're dealing with alcohol addiction, right?
Well, the thing is, if you feel the need to do anything, food, sugar, alcohol, caffeine, anything, you feel the need to do it like ever so often and you find an excuse to do it, you are an addict.
Yes.
You're an addict even to thought patterns, negative thought patterns. That can get addictive,
Yeah. So social media trolling is probably one of these aspects of coming out and speaking about it, right? Because I'm sure you faced that during when you came out, when you said that, I'm opting to become sober.
Right. So with social media, what we see with trolling is just an expression of society. Right?
Sure.
These are real people, well, except for the bots, but these are real people expressing what they see around them.
Sure.
I think that it's become easy in society in general for people to judge others. And that's a bad thing, only because you don't want it, don't mete out what you don't want to eat yourself, you know. And I also feel it comes from a place of insecurity, where maybe people are facing so much of their own traumas that they feel the need to facelessly lash out. Having said that, I do also see really positive movements on social media, people accepting their bodies, people accepting themselves for who they are in such a bold and brazen way that trolling becomes irrelevant. Then it's the troller's problem.
Sure.
And I think that's the best way. Like, to combat that much negativity, you need light and positivity, not more negativity.
In the recent past, Shruti, you've spoken about a lot of things that break stereotypes. Besides mental health, you also spoke about, we just spoke about, you came out saying that I'm opting to become sober. Then you also spoke about plastic surgery.
Yes.
And I know for a fact a few years ago, you would have never come out and spoken about these things.
No, I did. Actually, in the very beginning, when I fixed my nose, it was after my first pill. People were like, did you fix your nose? And I was like, yes, I did. And then people forgot about it, right? And then it again came up and I was like, oh, I thought you guys knew, And also, I haven't really had a minute to myself, meaning I've grown in front of people from a very young age. My my childhood, oh she's cute, to oh she's an awkward teenager, oh she looks this way, has all happened in front of people. I haven't had a minute to myself, which is okay. This is the life I was given and I have no regrets. But I decided to be honest about it. There's tons of actors doing fillers, doing rhinoplasty several times over. If they don't want to talk about it, that's also fine.
Sure.
That's their choice.
Absolutely.
I just felt that I would like to be honest about it. And I would also like to be honest about the fact that there was a time that I chose to do it extra, and then now I'm more comfortable with. And it's funny now because people are like, what has she done to her face? I'm like, this is actually how my face looks, you know. So I think it's better to be honest.
Sure.
And I think I don't judge those who choose to be dishonest about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you know, the reason I ask you this is everyone who's watching out there, and there are a lot of people who are scared of being judged. What gives you the strength to come out and speak?
I think having been judged so much that you just stop giving a shit. That's my only succinct explanation for it.
Sure.
After a while you're just like, blah, you know, because it's my life and it's my face and it's my choice and it's my body, and then after a while so much pachar you're like, but does it matter? No, not really.
In the future, would you want to, if you ever opt for a plastic surgery again, or if you opt for something, would you come out and speak about it just like you have?
I mean, I would see myself being honest about it. I think I'm also very careful about the fact that I'm in no way condoning or encouraging plastic surgery or vanity-driven corrections. It's my choice.
Sure.
I choose to feel that way, or this is the face I like to look at. But I'm no way saying that, oh, you know, I'm saying you can do it as well. But I'm also saying this whole I accept myself exactly as I am is also a bit of an urban legend, and we're all working towards accepting. But what I've worked first, this is going to go for all of us. I'm really accepting myself on the inside as much as I can, because there's nothing to fix that.
Sure.
Except me.
And when you were taking break from 2017 to 2018, were you scared that what if when I come back after a break of a year, people will look at me differently?
They did. My fears were absolutely well founded. I felt like it was almost like, how do you think you can just leave when you feel like? You know, that's the sense I got.
Sure.
And rightfully so, because this is a competitive business and it's a race. And that's when I decided, oh, I'm not running your race, I'm climbing a completely different mountain. And that gave me the confidence to reassess my life choices. And for me, work has always been my life, a big part of my life. And that was starting to get affected by just being on this treadmill like a hamster, you know. And I needed to stop. And that was for me to be better at work. And I can see the benefits of it today. And I'm happy that now I'm getting the work I deserve and I'm getting the positive attention I deserve, you know. But at the time it was very scary and the reactions were not wonderful at all.
But what's wrong with taking a break?
That's a good question. And I'm happy if I can be some sort of beacon of, you can go and come back. There are people who've done it, but very, very few and far between.
Sure.
So it seemed insane to step off that treadmill, but you have to step off that treadmill. It's like going to a perfume store. You need to stop to smell those coffee beans. Otherwise, everything starts to feel the same.
What's the role of a family, Shruti, for someone who's dealing with anxiety? And how did your family help you during your time?
My family is very busy, so it was more of a solo journey for me. My friends were more aware of it and were checking in more, but ultimately it was up to me. But the family or your partner or your friends, it's very important for them to understand that it's a slow process sometimes. The person dealing with therapy and themselves, we have new revelations every week about ourselves. Some days are wonderful, some days are not. And eventually, if they can understand that you're working towards healing and they give you the positive energy and vibration of healing, that's a small thing you can do to stand by the person.
Was acting a natural option for you?
No.
Or did you take it because your parents were actors?
I took it because I wasn't getting paid as a musician, first of all. Because there's no real, now there is, but 10 years ago, to be an independent English musician and actually be able to live a comfortable life was like a wonderful imagination. It's not possible. And that was very sad. And so when I got offered, like, I literally did it for the money, which I'm not embarrassed to say, because I needed my independence. Financial independence as a woman is something that I've always been banging on about. So that's why I did it. When I saw how I felt about seeing myself on screen, and when I saw how terrible I was at it, a lot of things started to churn. My competitive nature, my insecurities, my need to actually enjoy this process and connect with it, because there was a part of it where I felt like I'd shook hands and I wanted to hug it, but I couldn't. So it took me a really long time to today say I can't imagine my life without acting.
Did a wrong choice of profession at that point in time aggravate your anxiety?
Absolutely. The business is not, everything is heightened here. Scrutiny is heightened, judgment is heightened, success is heightened, joy is heightened, failure is heightened, everything is just at that frequency. So for someone like me with anxiety and not knowing I have it, I just couldn't hack it many days. I really found it difficult, and I would beat myself up looking at other actors who just seem to get it right, have their finger on the trigger ready to shoot, you know. So it took me a long time to get to this place.
Do you still face anxiety?
I do, but I'm aware of my triggers and I'm aware of my patterns. So I am able to keep it under control for myself. I also tend to, in an anxious state, lash out at the people closest to me, because that's just how it works. Whoever's next to you gets the brunt of it. So I've informed those people that are near and dear to me that I do suffer from this and that I'm working on it, and I see a major improvement in my life.
Wow, lovely. I'm so happy to hear that.
Thank you.
To all those who are dealing with this, Shruti, out there, what would you want to tell them?
I would just like to say that it's a step-by-step process, and loving yourself is an eternal journey, but it's slow, and some days it's painful, but most days it's exhilarating. So getting to know your mind is the best commitment you can make in your life, and facing your demons and your angels all together is exciting and challenging, but it's so worth it at the end of it.
I hope everyone who's listening to this has learned something from this conversation and this experience, which is so personal to her, but she's opened up so well about it. So thank you once again, Shruti.
Thank you.
Now we move to the fun part.
Yes.
Okay. So this game is called Knock Knock Who's There, where we are gonna celebrate women achievers.
Okay.
What am I gonna do is I'm gonna give you 3 hints, one by one each. The first one will be a difficult one, second one will be easier, and the last one will be very easy. So I hope by the third hint you'll be able to guess the female achiever or the women-centric film I'm talking about. And some of these are also connected to you, so I'm hoping that you'll be able to answer quickly.
Hopefully.
The first hint for you is, Shruti, this social thriller released in 2016 and it featured 3 actresses in central roles.
In Hindi?
Yeah.
I bet there's people watching this going, come on, what's my second?
Second clue is, the film was remade in Tamil as Nerkonda Parvai.
2016. It's not Vidya Balan.
No.
I'm so mad at this. Tell me what it is.
The film also featured Amitabh Bachchan.
Pink!
Yes.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm in the Telugu remake of it. I'm sorry. God, I told you I suck at this.
The second question. After winning a major pageant, she made her film debut with Dastak in 1996.
Sushmita Sen.
Yes.
I love Sushmita Sen. I'm a big fan of Sushmita Sen.
Third one. This crime thriller had released in 2017 and A.R. Rahman had given the music for it. Hindi film again.
I need to...
No.
That wasn't Rahman's.
Second hint? It was produced by Boni Kapoor. Third hint. Its leading lady had won a national award for Best Actress posthumously.
Oh, Sridevi ma'am's film with her daughter. The girl who goes missing.
Yeah.
See, look, I know it, but I don't know the name. Come on.
It's mom.
Mom!
Yes.
Yes.
Next one. This badminton player made her international debut in 2009.
Sanya Nehwal.
None.
No. Badminton.
Second hint. She's a recipient of Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratna Award, a Padma Shri and a Padma Bhushan, which she was honoured with in last year, January 2020. I'll give you last one.
No, it's embarrassing. You just tell me now.
It's PV Sindhu.
PV Sindhu. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
But thank you once
Thank
again,
you.
Shruti.
Thank you
It was
so
a
much.
lovely conversation.
Pleasure.
And before we end this, I want to say you're special, you're important, and thank you so much for inspiring us and everyone out there.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thanks.
Good.
Hi, I'm Shruti, and if you liked this conversation, like, share, and subscribe to Pinkvilla.